High Plains Technology Center, turning education and training into workplace success.
Oh, back to school, to prove to Dad that I'm not a fool.
High Plains Technology Center, education at the speed of business. School is now in session.
All right, here we are Wednesday morning. Taylor Burnett, High Plains Technology Center, sitting down with you once again to talk all things High Plains. This week, I kind of was sitting here thinking, I go, what a great idea. And it was my own. I have to pat myself on the back. You know, no one else does it for me at the house or at work. But I thought, hey, I want to bring in, no offense, someone that's been here a while, one, you know, is to my left, and one that's brand new. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves, and I'll let the listeners decide on who's been here for a while.
Tracy Borden.
David Parada.
All right, Tracy Borden. Tracy's been there how many years now, Tracy?
27.
27 years. That might be older than a lot of people out there that might even be listening. David, how long?
Maybe 2 months.
Yeah. Here we are. Well, fall is upon us, and if you those that you don't know, they are both our welding instructor extraordinaires. And you know, the thing is I'm tired. I get tired of a lot of times when people say, "Hey, college," because honestly, in my opinion, what these two guys that do to my left, hands above the rest when you talk about getting life skills ready and people ready for the skills. So tell a little bit about what you kind of go through in the class, because I know you have a year one and year two kind of, Tracy. Go ahead.
Well, on that same subject you brought up, I've got 3 degrees and my hands make more money than the degrees do.
There you go.
Okay, what was the question?
So tell me a little bit about the class, what you kind of do, because I know you differentiate a little bit between year one and year two.
Yeah, what we decided to do, David and I decided that he would take the second-year students and I would stay with the rookies and the first-year students. Now, the first-year students, they owe me 16 basic welds of A quality before they get out of the booth. Now, getting out of the booth is obviously much more fun than the grueling be in the booth, weld. Oh, there's a good one. Okay, let's take that one. And so that when they graduate from the booth, that's when they get safetied out on a few more machines, and then they can start projects. We are project driven. It's a lot cheaper to practice on someone else's metal and build their stuff for them than it is to buy all that to practice on and learn on. And also with the projects, we've got a lot going on those because they have to plan them, draw out a bill of materials, order the materials, get to collect all monies against that project, and make sure that customer is happy. And generally that's in groups of 2s and 3s, so they have to learn to work together.
Awesome. Making sure that customer's happy is not even that's the hardest thing in the world. It's something good for those kids to learn more than anything too. Tracy and I have been trying to make a wife happy for way too long. You can tell by her white hair, right?
Don't do that to me.
Okay. All right. But the cool thing about it is you said project driven, and when we literally say project driven, we say project driven, and it's hands on. The 16 welds, what's the hardest weld for them to kind of master when it gets to get out of that booth?
The overhead, because they're fighting a lot of fire and they can't see as well. And it's just difficult. And running beads on flat plate is difficult anyway because you don't have a place to lay that bead. You don't have a groove or a connection there to put it in. So that's probably the hardest one for them. Plus, it kind of mind boggles them. They have a brain cloud on it. So,
you know, the cool thing is we always say, hey, I don't know about you two, but I always said math. What point is math? What point is geometry?
We don't say the word math. But David's way beyond me in math items. He knows how to lay out pipe like nobody's business, and that's one reason we hired him. He's got a whole lot of skills I don't have, and I've got some skills he don't have. Together, we can make a really good team, and I guarantee when those kids get done with David's tutelage, they're going to be pipe masters.
Because one of the coolest things I saw, David, that you've already done, speaking of geometry, speaking of math, is the NOSA field, the soccer deal, right?
Yeah, that's correct. It was a pretty good project, and I want to thank Dylan Devine with NOSA Soccer for giving us that project and giving us a chance, and the kids did really good on it.
Did you kick the first goal in, or did they let you, or?
Well, we still got to work on that.
Okay. Are you a soccer player at heart, or?
Yeah, I'm actually in the trophy case in Woodward High School.
Ooh, really? Man.
Soccer.
That's further. I'm on the opposite side with the old people pictures more than anything. So, when you talk about the transgression, so year 1, year 2. So year 2 is a little bit more fabrication, and I love what you just hit upon, Tracy. You talk about, hey, because this is my philosophy a lot of times. Don't hire what I am. I'm going to hire what complements me with a lot of things. And I think, that's the coolest thing with that. So year 2, kind of what are you kind of doing with it, David? Even though you're 2 months into it, you've been doing this for how long?
For quite some time now. Yeah, year 2, I mean, we're going to start doing some more pipe work and getting them getting them ready to pass a test to go into pipeline.
And for those that don't know, because I know Tracy does this at night, I've talked to David about things at night as well. You talk about a progression for a student as well. Yeah, the welding is important, but that pipeline certification is a big deal, right? So talk a little bit about that, Tracy.
Well, you need the 6G pipe certification. A lot of times that's your admission ticket to try for a job. That doesn't mean you're going to get the job, but you'll have to have that to get to apply and try out and test weld for that job. So it's very important, and it's a bragging rights to the kid to say, hey,
great point.
I passed this really hard test, and I've got my card. And it's kind of like a final exam, and they're bragging rights.
Because, the welders, they start out at a great salary. Then you go to, the pipeline welders, in essence. They're a really great salary. Of course, they're working in elements. That's what I love where it follows upon us. And then you talk about those that are doing fabrication. They can almost name their own price with things, correct?
Yes.
What's the number one, the coolest thing that your students have made in all 27 years with you, Tracy?
I would have to say it's probably more lately. Building those fire trucks for Camargo and some other around where they bring you a 6x6 semi and you tear it down, and then you build a bed for it, put all the tanks, all the plumbing on it. And then you get to see that really out in the work. In the Ray Fire, a kid called me like 2 a.m. and said, hey, the truck I worked in is here. It's putting out a house by me. So
wow,
they got to really see it in action.
That's something that we probably need to even get on paper to tell about that story. That's something that we've done, because that, you talk about life-changing, that's pretty darn cool in my opinion. So, David, what was your experience a little bit before you got into education? What did you do before this?
Well, I did pipeline for quite some time and a little bit of a trucking business.
Okay.
Yeah, hauling some frac sand, and but pipeline's always been what I love to do.
What's the furthest you traveled? Where was the furthest you traveled with that pipeline?
Probably Colorado.
Did you do any of those cold winter months in Colorado in that pipeline?
Yeah, I got some videos.
He's failing to mention that he was in charge of those crews and making sure everybody did what they were supposed to do. He wasn't just out there running beads. He was in charge.
That matters, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think the hardest thing to fabricate and to weld would be? One of the hardest things for the students to really grasp? Trailers?
I think it's going to be piping.
Okay.
There's a lot to that, and you're working with curves and roundness, and you still got to get it square. So those two go against each other in most people's thoughts and ideas. So they got to really lay that out correctly, and David's going to make sure they understand that, and it won't be a block to them.
Well, that's cool, because those of you also don't know, when I talk about night classes, Tracy teaches at night. I'm trying to talk David into doing certain things as well. We actually, our daytime instructors teaching at night, teaching people on what they want to kind of know, because what's even the skill level with those at night?
Well, we've got some that come in and had never run a bead, and then we got some that are pretty good and just need to get ready for that test. Now, David and I are splitting up the night class a little bit.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, good.
Yeah, we both got that set up where we could do that, and that way when I'm busy one night or I'm sick or we got something to do.
Darla has you doing some honeydews, right?
David fills in, and we just keep right on motoring.
Well, cool. Because that's the hardest thing probably at night, just like it is at day, when you talk about all different levels, right?
Right.
And, kind of like when you're coaching, you really have to pay attention to those that need the most help, and then you feel like you're pushing those aside that really kind of do it, right? But there's not very many students, right? So you can get one-on-one interaction with things too.
We have 8 enrolled right now.
That's cool. How many of them are going for that pipeline? Are any of them, or?
2 of them we're under the assumption that after 2 classes they'd be pipeliners, which we.
I'm not laughing at you that those 2 people out there, but I'm laughing.
We're trying to get them. They're starting to understand that that's not right. And then a guy walked in there, didn't know anything. Just every weld he lays is just great. So he's real teachable, and it's going really well. And then we have people in there that just want to work in a nice shop to build stuff for themselves.
Isn't it kind of cool, too, that some people are just natural with it, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
So what was the hardest weld that each of you had to learn that you really think you have mastered, but you still could work on with things as well? Nothing. You good at everything?
No. I need more piping experience, and David's got that. And I would like to be a better TIG man. I'm just not steady enough for it.
Yeah, I'm good on the piping, but I'm lacking on the TIG side. But
okay.
Yeah.
Getting steady with it doesn't help the older we get with things either, does it? It just seems to work harder and harder. But, when we talk about things, it's not only our high school kids that are out there and junior, seniors, it's also the night classes. But we also have some full-time adult students out there also. So if you're wanting to better yourself, what a better way to do that. If you were recommending anybody that's wanting to get out there that, okay, so a junior and senior, what would be the best thing in class? What would be the best avenue for them to take?
Oh, I think coming as a junior and senior for the 2 years – they'll get exposed to so much more than if you come as one full year. In 2 years, you're going to get to see more items than you would in one class year. Now, we have some all-day adult students right now. One of them come through Epic, and another one graduated early. Actually, we got 4 of those. Yeah, we got 4 of those that way. Okay. So, and then we got 2 half-day adults because their working conditions, they can't be there all day. Like one kid gets off at 5 a.m., so he has to be there by noon. So that's a little grueling for him. So there's all kinds of students and all kinds of ways to go. They need to just figure out and get there. And, of course, there's always financial aid and other types of help for them.
The cool thing is, too, is the reason why we brought on David, I know that Mr. Holtz talked about this, Mr. Gaines talked about this at times, but we brought him on because you were literally bursting at the seams, right, Tracy?
Well, we're having to turn people away, and that's sad. We don't want to turn anyone away. That's why there's 38 in here in the morning. And when
Did you hear that, folks? 38, all right? Way to go.
Yeah, when that new shop comes, we'll be able to spread out. Now, right now, we're able to spread out because the weather's nice. When it gets to where it's the weather's non-conducive, we're going to be packed in there pretty hard.
I love that David's over there smiling because was the weather nice when you're always outside doing pipeline?
Oh, no. We're going to have to expose them a little bit. Yeah.
Even though some of these high school, mamas might not like
that.
Now,
on those soccer goals we did the other day, there were some kids trying to finish those up on a deadline. And we tried to get them to stop, but those 5 kids, they were out there in steady rain welding those out and getting shocked and being wet and miserable, and they got her done. So I was so proud of those guys.
All right, what, do you remember some of the students? Let's give a kudos to them because I think that's a lost art with things. I put you on the spot, so sorry. We'll give a shout out to them later. But if you haven't seen the NOSA soccer goals, go by and see them as well. But I just want to thank you both for coming and talking about something, and once again giving an avenue for our youth, our district, our sending schools. And both of you, I know David's a huge asset. Tracy's over the moon excited about it, and we've been excited to have Tracy for 27 years. I mean, goodness gracious, where would we be?
Now, there's other people that's helping us also. Woodward Steel is a great partner for us. They let us have a lot of practice metal, and then we bring our scrap to them, so it's a win-win situation. And they also give us some things now and then when we need it. Jeff Wilson at Petroleum Services, if we ask him for anything, he gets it.
We don't need to give any shout-outs to Jeff Wilson.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a great guy.
Yeah, I agree.
And on those NOSA soccer goals, Jay's sandblasting came across, and I don't know for sure what kind of deal it was, but he came and got them, took them out there, and got them painted properly where they're going to look nice for years.
Because you talk about the timeline, because soccer is upon a lot of people. Everybody's spending their Saturdays out there right now. So
yeah, we were on a really tight timeline to get those ready
and got her done right.
Hey, my kid's been playing on one of the sets that we made.
There you go. So it's already paid off.
Already paid off. Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot. We'll let you guys get back to class, and we'll see everybody next week.